Morning. How are y'all? I think I'm doing pretty good. Guys here to do a hike?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm not with the trail.
Oh, okay.
It looks like I am, but I'm not.
Got some info.
Right there, yeah, if you need a map, there's one on the back of that brochure.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Would you guys be interested in doing a just short interview before you do your hike?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Thank you. My name's Anthony.
My name is Tori.
Jared.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Hi.
Jared.
Okay. What I do is I initiate chats with strangers. We select a belief that you think is very true. So like you think you've seen a ghost, or you're sure that karma is real, or you pray to a god, or your view on some political issue. And then I ask questions to examine how a person could be so sure. By asking questions, I don't tell people what to think, but I ask pretty probing questions to see how you could be so sure that what you think is true is really true. So it's kind of an interesting exercise.
Okay.
It is more challenging with two people, frankly. Number one, because it has to be a belief that you both share.
Okay.
And then number two, what I found is that when a person gives an answer, you can usually influence the other person, or vice versa.
Got it.
And I don't want that. Like, I want you to just be as frank and as truthful as possible.
Okay.
And then also, are you okay if I record it?
Yeah. Okay.
At the end, I'll give you a card, and then, if you don't want me to use the footage or whatever, I won't use it.
Okay.
Would you say Tori?
Tori. Yes.
Okay.
With an I.
And
Yes.
and yours, sir?
Jared.
Jar?
AD. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have a second camera to put on me. Do you mind if I just reach over really quickly and throw it on? Because when I have these talks, people want to see, like, well, what is Anthony doing when he's asking these questions? So this was for me here. There we go. I know this is a little odd, but this is a kind of a hobby that I've been doing for almost 5 years now.
Oh, nice.
And we have some really interesting chats. All right, so I kind of gave a few suggestions. Is there a particular belief that you both think? Do you guys know each other well enough to know that you guys have a shared belief?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're choosing because I can't think of one.
When it's also tied to your identity, and you actually find yourself behaving differently because you're holding this belief, those tend to be the more interesting conversations we can do. Do you guys think karma is real? Do you pray to a god? Do you both think ghosts are real, perhaps, or something like that?
I mean, we don't necessarily pray to a god. We believe in a god, but we're not very religious.
It's like
We don't.
non-practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do that. We've talked about that openly. How we know there's a god.
You both think a god exists,
Yes.
but you don't necessarily pray to it or go to worship on a regular
Yes.
basis or that type of stuff. We can examine that one.
Yeah.
Okay. People's definitions of what a god is can vary wildly. So, can you just maybe explain in a couple of words what you mean by God? Is it a specific type of God? Is it some people say that it's an emotion or whatever. I don't know. What does the word God mean to you?
Creator.
Okay.
I'd say savior.
Okay, great. Does this God interact with humans?
Plays a part, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
He plays an important role. Like, he's not physically here, but it's if you believe enough, you feel him there, kind of thing.
You pray, it could influence how your life is and all
Okay. This is a God that you can pray to, and it could possibly listen to what you're praying for
that. Yes.
and change outcomes of things.
Yes.
Okay, so it is an intervening God. It sounds like. I'd like to get a sense of how sure you are that this God is real.
Okay.
On a scale from 0 to 100, and don't feel bad about giving something other than 100. Sometimes people feel obligated to give a number. Just be completely frank. 0 would be, I have questions, I have doubt, I have no reason to believe that this God exists. And 100% would be, there's no question in my mind. I have no doubt whatsoever. This God exists.
Definitely a 50. Like, back and forth between questioning and not 100% sure on anything really about it. But there has to be something.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say a 50 as well, because I've had my doubts. I've talked to my parents about my doubts and asked them questions, and they've always told me, well, you don't know until you get there. But so I believe in a God, but I have a lot of questions about God.
Okay. So the question for the scale is regarding your certainty that it's real. Are you like 50-50? Like, it might be real, it might not be real?
I think if I'd probably be more like 30% I'm not too sure, and then 70% I'm positive. Like 30% is just my doubts.
Okay.
The questions that I have.
Okay.
And then the other 70 is like, yeah, he's real.
So you're 70% confident that God is real.
Yeah.
And then,
Makes sense.
pardon me?
That actually does. That's kind of how I am, because I'm sure there's like, I'd have like, I guess not proof, but like there's like evidence towards it, I guess. All the religions, all that stuff, but there's still question as whether to like it's. I mean,
How do we know?
How do people on Earth know that it's?
Yeah.
Because obviously we can't just like go up there and be like, hey, is all this true? And then,
We have no idea until
Yeah.
the end, I guess.
You know, I heard this really good example. I wanted to try to use it today, where if I told you that I owned a Lamborghini, would you believe me if I just told you?
To an extent, I mean,
yeah, maybe if you gave me like enough details about it,
If I pulled out a keychain with a Lamborghini symbol on it, and there was a key on it,
I'd believe it.
would that be enough to convince you that I own a Lamborghini?
I probably would believe it.
that's good evidence.
Would you be 100% sure that I own a Lamborghini?
No, because I mean, anyone can buy a keychain.
Right. Let's say that you just humored me. We walked out to the parking lot, and I pointed to a Lamborghini in the parking lot.
Unlock it.
Get inside it, yeah.
You'd want some evidence.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say that we walked out there, and I was able to unlock that Lamborghini. Beep, beep, right?
Uh-huh.
Would you believe it 100% that I own the Lamborghini?
I think I would.
At that point you would?
Yeah, unless you stole it. But otherwise, I think I would believe that, yeah, it was yours.
Okay. So even if we hopped it in or drove around, would you still be 100% sure that it was mine?
I'd be more sure, but like there's still a little bit like, if this dude just stole a Lamborghini, like why is he at a
We're going
park?
to
My
jail.
my rich brother maybe came in and I borrowed his car or something
Yeah,
like that. Okay. Back to the whole God thing. It sounds like neither of you are 100% sure that a God is real. And you've had questions, you've had doubts, and that's great. I love that you've admitted that. A lot of people, I think, pretend that they've never doubted, and they just say, I'm 100% sure that it's real. What is the evidence that is bringing you to the 70%? What is the evidence that is bringing you to a fairly high degree of confidence that the God is real? Because I'd like to start asking questions to challenge whether it's sufficient evidence to hold the belief.
I think, to me, it makes no sense how a rock or something hit Earth or whatever and just spawned life, humans, all the trees, all that stuff after everything was wiped out. Doesn't really make sense to me.
Okay.
Like something had to create it, something had to build it, other than like it's like a science, like a long time ago. I don't know.
Okay, so for you, Jared, you've heard hypotheses that say millions or billions of years ago, a rock slammed into other rocks and it formed Earth, and then somehow
something was formed and
it cooled, and then chemicals, and then life and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just doesn't make sense to me how we can go from little, like, I guess, nothing to inventing every day, building all this, like, I guess, crazy inventions that never seem possible, I guess.
Okay, so if I'm going to recap where you are, the reason why you have a fairly high degree of confidence that there's a God is that it doesn't make sense to you how this could get here without one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For me,
Yeah.
I think it would have to be, it's not as like possibly as good, but it's just my grandparents. my grandpa was a very, very religious man. He believed in it like 110%. And when he was actually in the hospital bed passing, his mom passed when he was really, really young. Like, he didn't actually know him. Or know her, I'm sorry. So whenever he passed, he was laying in the hospital bed. And his last words, he was yelling out, "Mom," because he basically saw her. And he kept telling everyone he did not want to be on life support, but we put him on. It was just a last minute decision. We did it even though he didn't want to. And he kept saying just to let him go. He could see the light. He saw Jesus. He wanted to go be with Jesus, and he wanted to be with his mom and his twin brother who had passed. Like, he saw all of them and kept begging us to just let him go. So for me, growing up, seeing how much he believed, and then at the end how he was then, for me that was kind of like, okay, I know he went somewhere, and I know he believed in something. So that's my, like,
Gotcha.
my thing.
Gotcha. Was this a recent thing?
About a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry that he
that's
passed
okay.
away.
Anytime I talk about him, I just
No,
get emotional.
I completely understand. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
I'll ask you one more question. I'll let you get back on the trail. My question is that you don't even have to answer now, but maybe you can just think about it. And if you want to keep exploring, it's fine. Is if, for you, Jarad, my question is, if this can one day be explained to your satisfaction, how life could come from rocks, and that this process really is quite feasible and maybe even common in the universe, would you lower your confidence in the existence of the God down from a 50 to some other number?
If there was evidence of like life on other planets that was like completely like not human, like that didn't make any sense, then maybe, but there's nothing right now. Like,
Okay.
I mean, nothing that I've really seen besides like water on Mars or something like that. I mean, it's a little weird that only humans are here, but like there's other species, other places, other planets, all that.
Okay, so that would be it. All right, that's cool. And then for you, my question is, and I want to try to ask this as delicately as possible, if this incident with your grandfather didn't happen, if he didn't report seeing Jesus, I guess, in his last hours, if you weren't told about that experience, would you still be at the 70%, or would you be lower, or would you be at some other number?
I think I would still probably be there, just because even if I hadn't had that experience growing up, I guess, not necessarily going to church every Sunday, but growing up and spending so much time, not necessarily with him, but with my other grandparents, they were super religious, so they always talked to me about God, and even though they did, like, I still had those questions, so I think I would still be there.
Okay, so it sounds like the main reason why you are 70% sure is, yes, you're having these experiences and reports of people seeing the God, but even if that weren't to happen, you would probably still be around the same area of confidence because you've been raised with it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, that was really great. I could chat for like 30 more minutes on this stuff. Really, yeah. So I love examining these beliefs. There's a card for you too.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for your time.
course,
I really
thank you.
appreciate it. But no, that was great. I really appreciate you guys sharing your beliefs.
Well, thank you for stopping us.
Yeah, this is a good time too. If you have questions about what I'm doing, feel free to ask me anything that you want.
What is it that you do with this?
I do have a YouTube channel,
Oh, cool.
and sometimes if the talk isn't good for YouTube, I might just do the audio like on a podcast. But I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years now,
Wow, that's pretty
and
cool.
I have hundreds of examples on my channel.
Huh.
I used to go to universities, but I wanted to come to this trail. Usually people have time, a little bit more
Yeah.
time to get into it, and they've come here to like reflect
Yeah,
on these deep beliefs a little more than.
that's really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoy
Thank
doing it.
you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. If you want to keep examining the belief, I'd be more than happy to do it right now or later, or if you want to email me, we can do it over email too.
Cool. Well, thank you.
All right,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
A couple of experimentations there. I'm not sure if you caught them or not. First, I assured them both that it's okay to report a confidence level other than 100%. And second, I used the I own an expensive car thought experiment to get a sense of how skeptical each person would be. I might start carrying around one of those keychains. You may have also noticed that Jarad put his arm around Tori, perhaps to indicate that he was ready to go, but maybe he anticipated the emotional story that she was about to relate. While I didn't even really challenge the reasons for their belief on this one, I do think that this was an interesting enough conversation to share. If I recall correctly, I think Tori at the end there thanked me for stopping them, and that's always rewarding to hear.